This is LTV.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank, create success, enterprisebanking.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella. And yes, a little late, but we're live and our phone number hasn't changed. It's 978-534-1626. And I'm having a difficult time struggling to understand that, yes, Thanksgiving is yet a week away, if you can believe that, the 23rd. I don't know how often. I don't remember the last time it fell. I remember it fell on the 24th. I don't remember it falling on the 23rd. But anyway, we're live today. If you have any questions about anything, a project in the city you want to know about, by all means, let us know. Is Art on today or no Art today, huh? Okay, hope everything's okay. Huh? Not yet? Not yet. All right. Well, Art, we'll have to go without an Art report today, but Wendy Wiiks is here, the grant administrator, and now we turned her into the FEMA control person for the city. And we got lots of slides and things that we could talk about today. We've had guests, so we haven't really had the chance at the end of the day. We've had multiple guests, and we just haven't had that opportunity to catch up on some of the things that are happening in and around the city, but we'll do that. But just to let you know, we won't be here next Thursday. That's right? Yeah, we won't be here next Thursday. Well, I won't, and you won't, and Jane won't, and Scott won't. But we've got a couple of weeks before we hit Christmas, and remember, we always have Santa. We'll let you know about that. We have something else special coming up, right? Oh, yeah. We have a meeting tomorrow, right? You're coming to that meeting tomorrow? All right. So lots going on and lots planned for the holiday. We just left City Hall, and they're still in there decorating trees. I didn't think we could fit anymore, and the place is packed. I thought when I left earlier today that that's it. I guess that's it, all the trees. And it was plenty of them. It looked good. And more trees came in since then. So lots happening. And we're going to tell you about some of the things that are happening around the city. And then also we'll bring you right up to the holidays. And then we'll let you rest after. It doesn't mean we won't do a show. It just means we'll let you rest a little. Bring back the old days, huh? Wouldn't it be cool to bring back the old days of first night? But I take first night we did for many years. And then later, it was, we decided it was a lot of money to raise for one day. And then if it snowed or it rained or if, it was icing sometimes, and we had all kinds of weather. And we just decided, that's a lot to speculate on. And then then it was the time when people was beginning to just say, you know what, let's just grab some food. We'll go home. We'll watch the fireworks, watch the ball come down. We'll go to bed early, whatever. And so we said, all the money that we raised for those events, just think if we spread that out through the course of the year. And when there is less risk of weather. So everything we did was for that one day, and actually almost 2 days. The first day we did it, we started at noon, and it ended at 12, but then we had to take everything down. So it was a full day. And then put everything away. And if the weather wasn't perfect, people are like, we're going to have to go from here to here, and it's raining out, and let's just stay home. It's a lot for that one night. So we're going to take a break, and then we're coming right back with Wendy Wiiks, the grant administrator from the city of Leominster.
She used to like the stores there. And Doc would go over to the Eagles shop. Cold I think the game will end up in 3-0. Try to take him away. Take him away. Play the piano, Duke. You gotta give him away. Where's your band? Open it up. Show him your name. The Duke of Ellington. Yeah. Before he runs out of the field.
Duke of Ellington!
Watch your wife doesn't throw that one down the
All the way
gap.
from Beantown! Beantown!
She throws it out, I throw her off.
Is this WBZ? WBZ? Is this, what station is this? Leominster's going to come back strong. Yeah, very strong. Yeah. Second half. We've been a second half dish. This is the wishbone model. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I want to say hi to everyone. Rusty, speak. 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 Hey, Dad. Speak. 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 To them, let me speak. Speak. Mark pronounced, but also by Jim Ball. Kevin Conway also in the vicinity of the play. Let's see what they're going to mark it. They should mark it at the 16. If not there, at least, well, the officials are going to mark it at the 16. That's right.
How does it get any better than that, huh? Ted Damko and Coach Dubzinski and T.A. Angelini, right? Unbelievable. And Jack and somebody was smart enough to get all that on film to capture those memories of 1978 and Leominster prevails again. And did you see? Now, remember, this is, I got to think this is sort of pre-cable time when everybody went to the game. And the stands were full. There wasn't standing room only at those games. And that's how I remember it. And I was at that game. And that's how I remember it, is it wasn't all sides. Not only the stands were full, but the perimeter of the field. And any possible area that you could stand was filled with spectators and fans. Caller, welcome to the show. Hello?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. George, how are you?
How are you, sir?
I'm well. I'm getting a little bit nostalgic now when I see the clips of some of these clips and thinking about it's Thanksgiving just snuck up on us. Chicago played the other day at the Hanover Theater. I'm getting a little nostalgic.
No, I understand. I was watching the video, and it reminded me of where I grew up in Clinton.
Right.
The Gales. I was in the band for 4 years, so I never missed a Thanksgiving game.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, baritone sax.
Look, really?
Yeah, it was heavy walking.
Right, right. Well, you're a big guy, so you could handle it.
Well, it's a big sax.
I bet you were
And
tall.
don't forget-
I bet you were tall and thin.
I was the same height. Right, exactly. I haven't changed since I played goaltender.
Imagine that.
Yeah. But the band, you have to play in the cold, the rain, the snow.
Yeah.
I did it for 4 years.
And they stopped practicing, Leominster at least, they're up in the parking lot in that heat in August when it's the hottest of the hottest days, it seems. And I'll drive by and they're out there practicing. And that's, and here we are, what? The 16th of November, and they're still practicing.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to the breakfast. I won tickets on WPKT.
I saw it and I heard that.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's wonderful. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's going to be a lot more room this year. We had them on last week talking about it, the Rotary Club, and they were saying that you usually have it in a cafeteria, and it's not that big in the cafeteria. You really get kind of crunched in, and then the band comes in, and so now they're going to use that big. They got this beautiful big indoor field house. And they're going to use that, so it should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving, Mr. Mayor. I mean
you too. Same here, and I'm glad we crossed paths. You never know, right?
You never know.
Class of '75 in Clinton and Leominster, right?
I was 76.
You are a young guy.
I don't feel it. Anyway,
It's not
Mr.
how
Mayor,
you-
happy Thanksgiving.
It's not how
God bless you.
It's not how you feel. It's how you think.
That's right. That's what I tell my wife all the time, but she don't believe it.
It is. I'm telling you. That's what I told my doctor. I said, I don't know. I have to keep reminding myself how old I am. And he said,
Right.
just focus on that. That's what he said. Just focus on that.
Happy Thanksgiving, Mayor.
All right. To yourself and Carol and your family. Inside
And
Leominster is the name of the
Clinton.
show.
Clinton is playing Saturday morning.
Who they play?
Uxbridge, number one.
Wow.
They're underdogs. You watch Clinton win Saturday morning in Shrewsbury, I guarantee you. Division 7 playoffs.
All right. I'll look for it somewhere. They'll be on their cable or something, right?
It'll be in the telegram.
Saturday. All right. Good
All right,
enough.
man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Go Gales.
Yes. 978-534-1626. Wendy Wiiks is my guest. Howdy.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
When I was a sophomore,
Oh, no.
I was so excited in high school when the Leominster High jackets turned into, they were like a corduroy with the, it was in cursive on the back. And I
Yeah.
was so excited to get one of those
They're
jackets.
Very exciting times. Now nobody knows in cursive.
I know.
Nobody knows, like, and then people are like, well, what do I need that for? Why do I need to teach that? And I'm like, okay, well, why do you need to teach math? People have a calculator, you have one on your phone. You could almost do it like voice activated. You can say, what's the script? Let's try it. Watch, let's see this. Let me do a Google search right here live. Look, everybody, they're all back there watching, like, what's he gonna do? All right, all right, hang on. Here I'm gonna do a Google search. And I'll say, what's the square root of 242? This is amazing. Oh, I should have stayed quiet and ended it. Yeah, that's what happened. Hang on. What's the square root of 242? Do you know what it is, Scott? It's 15.555639492. So same thing. What do I need to learn cursive, right? Why do I need to? Well, same thing. Why do I need to learn anything? All you have to do is ask Google or Siri. So same thing, right? Well, my signature is horrible. My handwriting's terrible, but it's the best I have, and it's recognizable. Anyway, a lot going on. We have slides. I don't know where and when you want to start.
I just got a text message says it's from Kamala Harris.
Yeah?
And it wants to know how I take my coffee, cream and sugar. And
She's raising money?
It must be, but I'm going to tell her that we need FEMA money.
I think
That's
we'll
what I'm
do
gonna tell her.
a fundraiser here for LTV, and we'll send out an email or a text and say, hey, how do you like your coffee? We're having a fundraiser. What do you mean? She's personally going to have coffee with you?
I don't know, but I sent it back. I told her we needed FEMA money.
FEMA money, yes.
It didn't come back. It didn't bounce back, so maybe it went
Well,
through.
you never know. You might get a call from her.
Yeah.
Caller, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dino.
Hey, it's Crystal's birthday yesterday in one day.
Hi, Wendy.
Happy birthday, Crystal.
Crystal, you're 30.
Thank you.
Crystal, you were 35, right?
Yeah.
All right, listen to this. You have been alive 12,776 days.
Wow.
Can you remember what you were doing each day?
No.
No? All right, well, just checking to
Thank
see.
you for the gift, Dino.
What's that?
Thank you for the birthday gift from you and
Oh,
Tara.
well, you're very welcome. And I hope you enjoyed your, it looked like you had a full day. In fact, it
We
looked
had
like,
I had a huge lobster from the school.
it looked like a full week of birthday events that can continue
Yeah.
on. Well, good for you.
All right, I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right. There you
Take
go.
care.
See that? When I say 12,776
What about you?
days. I did this the other day. Let's see. It's like, well, I'll just rough it off. I've been alive 24,090 days. My mother has been alive, let's see, 34,310 days. Imagine that.
It's a lot of days.
Well, what matters is when you think about that is, what matters is that you understand how important every day is. So you have to make every day count. I know that's cliche and kind of, but it does strike you when you see that number, that you've been around that long and you think to yourself, I got to make every day important. So anyway.
I feel like it's been that many days since the flood.
The flood, September 11th. And we were on our way to, heading that night, we were on our way because the chamber was going to have their unveiling of the National Chamber of Commerce Award that they received. That was going to be on September 11th. And then, of course, September 11th was September 11th, right, which we can't forget. But on top of that, at night, right around 4 o'clock, 4:30, and the flood kicked in. And we'll give you a little update as to where we're at with that. It went from construction, and there's still construction going on out there on Exchange Street right now. They're building that bridge. And we thank everybody. And, we're working as hard as we possibly can. And the holidays are coming, and we still have people that are not in their homes. We have a few people still not in their homes. And people have lost important things that are important to them. As I said, I might have lost things, but I didn't lose things that are, I have things that can be replaced. But there were people that lost things that cannot be replaced. And maybe they had things tucked away in a storage area or a basement where they've never had any water. And why would they think they would ever have water? We've had some storms. And they lost things. And so it's a tough time. And we realize that. And that's why we're working so hard to try to get, we have to make our case to FEMA. And, there's LEMA, which is the local emergency, MEMA, which is the Massachusetts, and then FEMA, which is the federal. And there is no, I said this at the city council meeting on Monday night, there's no book, there's no guideline that we were given to explain the process by which we need to follow. And it's pretty lengthy and complicated. It's not, hey, we had $35 million worth of damage, can you send us a check? Way, way far from that. Many, many steps in the process, which we'll talk about tonight. And so let's catch up. Let's catch everybody up. Did you do it by slides, or did you just want to catch everybody up?
I did it by slides.
Do we have slides?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's do slides. You guys ready for slides? Yeah? Slide? All right. Here you go. Do you want me to run it from here? Okay.
So we want people to know that even though it's been a couple months that we've been dealing with the flood, we've been working hard and getting other grants.
Right, there's still other things that we need to do.
Yeah, we haven't missed anything, I don't think, that I know of. So this is the kind of breaking news. We just got this grant for $500,000 toward the purchase price of land off of Pierce Street, which is over by Pierce and Jocelyn Street. It's 53 acres, which is a great piece of property because it's new open space which would have been a housing development in North Leominster.
And we're all about controlling growth in the city, and therefore that will allow us to control growth up in the North Leominster area and keep some open space.
Yeah, and it's near conservation land, and you can see at the top Massapog Pond.
I like that, Massapog. I always mess up on there. Like, what's the name of that? Massacoma? No, what is the name of that? Massapog. What is the definition of it? Was that an Indian name, you think? Jane thinks so.
That's a cool name.
I like it.
Yes.
Massapog. Do you know that for sure, or are you guessing?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Sounds like it, yes.
How much would you like to bet on that now, if you had to bet?
Bet you $20.
$20. It's massive pot.
Expensive.
Well, it's not only a nice piece of land, but it connects to other pieces of land up there, land that's been preserved by the Agricultural Protection Program. And so all up through Joslin Farm, up at the old Harris Farm, all in that area is now protected. So that's that whole area of Leominster and Lunenburg that we will never see development on. And so that's good. That's good. And with the flooding and areas that you need for flood retention and flood storage, it's a good thing we've purchased that. All right, let's jump to the next slide.
Orchard Hill.
Everybody's asking, like, what is this? I guess we need to put a sign up there at some point.
Big success at Orchard Hill over the years. Good place for retail right off the highway, and good connector road to take traffic off Route 13. Now we've gotten a $3 million grant to build another building, which is yet to be disclosed on what it's going to be. But it'll create, the developer committed to 300 jobs, and it's a $19 million private investment, which is pretty significant for the city.
We used to stand up there. We used to have people interested in up where Target is. And we'd stand there and they'd say, so what are the utilities? And I'd say, the utilities are the sky and the trees and the ground. And they'd say, well, where's the water and the sewer? And I'd say, well, it's down around Searstown, near the mall. And they said, well, that's like a couple miles away. And I said, yeah. So through a number of grants and construction projects, we can actually say, not only did we get that done and get that Target project built and get infrastructure up there, but we were able to get extend the road out through Pioneer Park. Remember, it didn't go through to Lunenburg. If you're new to town, it used to end. You came in from Lunenburg and it ended at the last factory, or you came in from Leominster and it ended at Target up in that area. A little further, but it ended there. And so we were able to poke that road through, so to take a little congestion off of Route 13 for the people in Lunenburg and Townsend and southern New Hampshire who really just want to get to Route 2 in the morning. But now this is another opportunity to expand our commercial and industrial base. So if you're up there, I didn't see a sign today when I was up there, but big project. And looks like we're going to have decent weather for at least the next month or so. And so if they can get this done, they could probably continue to work right through the winter.
This is another $3 million grant, which has kind of been we're kind of getting known for this, for using these MassWorks grants for private investment, and to get the match for us for this one is the housing developments going in on Marcello Ave for low, moderate income people. But
let's one thing I want to say is, people will say, well, you got a grant, it's a $3 million grant, why didn't you use it for something else? The grants are very specific in terms of what you can use the funding for. You can't just say, well, I want to go build a park or a school, or I want to put the $3 million towards the police station. It is for very specific uses. The other thing is that we had to conduct a study. Every city and town had to conduct a study. Who has the commuter rail coming through their community? So if you had commuter rail coming through your community, you were forced, basically, it was mandated that you conduct a study to look at where you might be able to build housing. Because I think what happened is they realized that all of this housing that has been built around the state and the highways are still full. And if we can't get people to use public transportation, like yesterday, 3 accidents, and it wasn't even light out yet in the morning. And then coming home last night from Boston, it took me 2 hours just to get to Acton. And there was another accident at where Route 2 and 190 merges, going south, or I guess southwest, and northwest. And that tied up traffic for hours. So anybody that was heading home after 3 o'clock in the afternoon had a long commute. So I think the thinking now is we're going to kind of give a nudge to the communities who have rail, and we want to see them and provide incentives, because part of what they're saying is, A, you have to do the study, and B, we're probably not going to give you grants. Is that how they kind of left it?
this grant
Right.
So we've gotten
but we
about-
got this grant because we did that.
Yes.
Showing
You
that
have to
the
check a
housing.
box.
Right.
Yeah. So
And
we've gotten about $10 million
Right.
from this grant
So
program.
the housing that we speak to is housing from the North Star. And North Star is right now located up at Main and Tolman Ave, and they deal with homeless families or transitioning families. And this is just another step because they do such a great job, and they get everybody ready for once they're ready to go and leave the shelter or the home. I think it's a home. I mean, I walk in, it feels and looks like a home. When they leave, there are no apartments.
Right.
So they're going to be able to transition into some of these apartments, and then the rest of the apartments that are going to be built. Like it's one project but two pieces,
Yes.
two different developers, and the other piece will be we call market rate housing, and that's good. So they are going to keep pushing this, and the funding is going to go towards areas that have public transportation. Darren, who works at MassDOT and is extremely helpful to us. He lives in Braintree, and I said, "Do you drive into work or do you take the train?" He said, "Well, it depends what time you have to come in." I said, "Well, it's interesting." He said, "Yeah." He says it's maybe 35, 40 minutes to get to work in Boston, right near the Boston Common, where the transportation building is. If I take the train, if I drive in, he said it could be an hour and a half to go. What's that? Like 15 miles or something. So he says he picks and chooses which days, depending on what hours he's going in or out, to come into Boston. And so I think they're going to try to do more of that, where they encourage people to use public transportation. And I'm going to try to jump on the train after the first of the year and just go a couple times, to go in at different times and get an experience of it. Let's do it.
I'm sure they'll be very entertained by
It'll
you.
be very entertaining, trust me.
So that just to for your point of these grants, it listed like Marcello Ave for sewer. Not only do we have to put in that specific information, we have to put the length of the sewer pipes.
Right.
It's
Very
before you
specific.
get the grant, so you
Right.
can't just go off and
Yeah, they
do
don't just
something
hand
else.
these out
with
to
it.
anybody.
Yeah.
And we've been how many is this for us? 3? How many MassWorks grants have we had?
4.
4. See? So, and I think they realize that when we do a project and we say we're going to use taxpayers' dollars to do something, it ends up bringing more value. The project ends up bigger, and just look at the park off of Central Street. What do we call it? Why am I?
Oh, the Alzheimer's
What's that?
Park?
No,
Oh.
down on Central Street, Jimmy Whitney's project where the registry is.
Oh, Southgate.
Oh, Southgate.
Yeah.
I mean, that has been just there's only a couple lots left in there, if any at all. And so anyway, that's where these projects help. All right, let's click my clicker. I might be going too fast. All right, shared streets. So we did little bump outs. Right where Allen's is always difficult. First of all, that area is just like an alley. You got to pay attention. There are cars on both sides, people pulling in and out, people crossing the streets where they should be and maybe they shouldn't be. And we said, it's hard. I've tried to cross there myself, and I'm like, if you're not paying attention, you could easily get picked off down there. So what we decided to do is bring out the curbs, and also to kind of take away from that alley feel, and also kind of beautify that section that's down in that area near Allen's. And we got a $200,000 shared streets grant to do that, and it's complete. And we did we planted some new trees in that area. We got a couple other surprises for the area. So.
Yep.
All right, downtown common.
Here it comes. So we don't want people to trip and fall anymore.
No.
They trip over the concrete.
I was watching people the other day, and it gets dangerous out
Yeah.
there. There are a number of areas where you can trip and fall.
So the common looks level. It's not.
Right.
So we're gonna essentially take the whole common out, and we're gonna put in pavers and tables and lighting, and the whole thing's gonna be handicap accessible around the edges.
And it keeps its historical
Yeah.
integrity.
Yeah. No monuments are moving.
No, everything stays
In
the
fact,
same.
we're having them cleaned by professionals, so they'll look really
Better
good.
lighting. It started off with one plug down there, and back in 100 years ago, and then another plug, and now we got extension cords going all over the place, and cabling, and that'll all be underground. And when we build the ice rink, which we're not going to be able to do this year, but when we do, ice rink, it'll be a lot easier for them to set it up now. So
And Wi-Fi.
and just a whole lot of cool things that'll really change the look at that, but keep the historical. And the other thing is we'll be able to hold, like we had the Hispanic Heritage Month event there, and we had the Italian festival there, and we have the cannoli fest. We'll be able to have many more smaller, maybe not as big as the Johnny Appleseed Festival, but smaller, even pop-up events where somebody can say, hey, next week, let's just, anybody wants to show up next Friday from 5 to 7, 5 to 8 at night on a summer night, we're going to have an art show. Or we're just getting a bunch of musicians together and we're going to do a jam session. All right. Next slide. My goodness, look at this. This is how many years in the works?
4.
4 years in the work.
Well, it's 17, it collapsed, and then 19,
Right.
we started pursuing funds.
So, believe it or not, that is not the Potomac. It is the Monusnock. And it is, if you're looking, tell everybody where you're looking at so they know where
So on the right-hand side, the buildings don't look anything like what is actually there, but on the right-hand side is Brady's, Mechanic Street's to the top, and Central Street would be at the bottom. So that's Manning Ave on the right.
So it'll be landscaped, they'll rebuild the walls.
Culvert.
Which are so important right now, extremely important. And we'll add a lot of green space there, and it's just going to look really nice. We'll have a little park at the head of it near the Mechanic Street side near Brady's. And and so have they actually told us yet that this is going to happen?
They had us advertise the project in the paper, so that's
this
really
is
the last
thing
step.
about how these agencies work, and I get it. Listen, everybody has their own way of doing business and their own rules and stuff, but sometimes they just don't get it. But as long as we get it, when I say get it, I don't get it. What I mean is I don't understand it. When I say, but as long as we get it, meaning we receive the project funding, then I'm a happy man. So this is really going to look nice downtown.
So $6 million, and they pay 90%
90%.
of the project.
I mean,
so
how do you beat that? Well, let's get to September 11th, and it as they say, it is what it is, and it's not anything we prepared. That we were hoping for on September 11th. Our schedules were much different than what we thought would happen. But let's take a step back and talk a little bit about resiliency planning and how we went through the process most recently.
So one of the things that is really important to FEMA is that communities can demonstrate exactly how much they've maintained and planned. So Leominster is, just one of the communities in Massachusetts who we don't wait to fix our culverts. We don't wait to fix our dams. This has all been underway for your entire time here. So,
well, it always upset me when I'd see communities, and it's not like, like I want to see communities fail at all. We want everybody to succeed. But when communities just let things go and then later say, well, now it's so bad, we don't have the money, somebody else has got to step in. And that's not been our philosophy. Our philosophy is fix it, right? Find a way to fix it. And I think the state and federal government have looked at us and said, and I think through the resiliency planning has said, you've done a pretty good job here. You guys have really gotten ready in anticipation for who knows what might happen.
Well, when FEMA and MEMA came out here, it was, that one of the things they'll ask you for is, you have to do a cost estimate for the damage. I say, we can give you a cost estimate because we just did this 3 years ago.
Right.
This wasn't sitting here for 30 years undone, like the Litchfield Street culvert.
Right.
We just produced the bid documents and said, here's the amount it cost us, and they'll use that.
Right. And I think the resiliency planning is, for them, it's a big deal. It's also where money is getting pumped into. But back up for a second, Roger Brooks came in with our business manager for the DPW, and he explained that we really needed to, that we were sending stormwater, which is basically clean water, urban water, or whatever comes with it. But basically, we were sending it to the treatment plant to be treated as if we would sewage. Very expensive. and that we needed to separate that. It wasn't a short-term fix. It was a very lengthy, and I don't know how many millions, I forget how many millions we spent. Today's dollars, it would be tens of millions. In fact, we did spend tens of millions to separate the two. But I'd have to say I don't remember who I talked to during the whole storm. I just talked to people with microphones and people on the phone. But one of the questions I would get after is, do you think as a community you need to plan better? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, and so there was an assumption that we'd never planned. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, we have rebuilt every dam on our reservoirs. And we have done our I&I separation, separating stormwater. And guess what? We also are in for grants with FEMA. We're doing river bank stabilization projects near the Nashua River right now. And so I went down the list of things that we were doing. I said, no, we have been doing everything that everybody wants a community to do. And they're like, oh. I said, but what we couldn't control is 9 or 11, whatever the final count was. There are estimates all over the place. NOAA and some of these weather forecasters have said 500-year flood. This is an 800-year flood. And then we even heard 1,000-year flood. Most projects are built on 100 or a 200-year, flood, yep. I guess. And so there was planning, and there were things, and millions of dollars spent in those areas.
Well, like you said, the dams didn't fail.
The dams didn't fail. The water went over the dams. So the only thing we couldn't control that day is the amount of rain that we got, and
how
what
fast
Mother Nature decided to do with the accumulation of that amount of water when it had nowhere to go. And remember, we've had a rainy season, so the ground was pretty wet to begin with.
Yeah. So in 2019, we got together. I think one of the best cross sections of people in, no matter what your philosophy is on politics or anything else. This was a good cross section of people, and we came up with our climate action plan. And it was, this is why we've now gotten money from Newsnock Brook, and we got money for North Nashua River, and we'll continue to be able to get that money for years to come.
It's kind of like the open space plan. Mm-hmm. They really wanted you to, sit down and force yourself to put a plan together rather than just to be all over the place. And then to follow the plan. I mean, look at our growth management plan. Yep. It worked to the T. Every single old mill building is now being used. Not all for housing, most of them for housing, but everything we put into place in terms of buying land, controlling the development in the city so that we didn't end up with overcrowded schools. And, there was actually a plan. Well, it worked. And here we are with the resiliency plan. And I did not hear anyone from MEMA or FEMA say, hey, you guys didn't plan properly. Not anybody or any engineer has said that to us. But here's a picture of the governor who came out, the head of the MBTA. He's a great guy. A lot of the other, Barry Lorian from District 3. And I'll tell you, District 3 can't say enough about that crew at District 3 at Maastot. And on top there is members of the environmental police, the Leominster police, the state police, members of different city department heads, and that's pretty much our war room.
That was at 3 a.m.
Was that at 3? Mm-hmm. That was at emergency management. Nobody had slept. It was dark. The rain had tapered off. We were waiting. We were actually out, they were actually organizing crews. We were actually getting pumps brought in. So all night long we worked, but it was daylight to see actually the first glimpse of daylight. What was this going to look like? We knew what we saw at night, which was completely, white caps heading down through downtown. White caps, like we're at Old Orchard Beach or something. So anyway, it was really a combination and teamwork by everyone that said, this is bad. We're going to have to work together, and no disagreements or nothing. Everybody just, hey, what do you need me to do? And, how can I help out? And at that particular time at 3 o'clock in the morning, if you went out, there were very few roads. All main roads were closed at that particular point. And it was just, you could wiggle your way around. I remember somebody calling saying, I've got to get my kid to the airport. And I said, well, honestly, I think the best thing that you could do based on where you live on the south side is head into Sterling and into Princeton area and then try to make your way that way, because you weren't getting down Mechanic or through town or, it wasn't going to happen. And anyway, let's talk a little bit about the federal disaster declaration. Three different categories.
There's 3 different categories. We're not letting up. We're trying for all 3. They came out here. FEMA and MEMA came out here in mid-October. They looked at damage, city damage, small business damage, and individual property damage. We have 1,400 claims from individual homeowners. Those went right to FEMA, and we have $35 million estimated for city damage. So that's what we're still working on, trying to.
And the reason we're working day and I mean it doesn't stop, weekends, and we've got a great team. I think we brought the team up in front of the council the other day. And what we don't want anybody to think that's a private homeowner or has a business that, all our energies have gone towards, the public infrastructure part of it all. We are pushing hard and doing everything we can to meet that individual assistance category so that you will get some funding. And again, once that happens, that's an application. If they were to, so what might happen is, let's give a couple scenarios. One thing that may happen, and if anybody has a question, 978-534-1626. We've got about 15 minutes left. If we meet the disaster declaration, it doesn't mean you get all 3.
Correct.
It means you might get 1 and 2, or you might go on 1 and 3, or you could get all 3.
Yes.
We're working hard as possible, with the information that you as homeowners have given us, you as businesses have given us. Without that, that's what we need. So there are certain minimums and certain criteria, and certain things that count. So whereas we say, hey, we've got $45 million, and here it is, worth the damage. They look at everything and say, that counts, that doesn't count, this counts, and we stop and say, wait a minute. Areas around rivers and streams, what was built 50, 80 years ago, you can't do that anymore. DEP and EPA won't let you do that anymore. So what cost you, $500,000 to do, 30, 40 years ago now is a $3 million project. And that's what we wrestle with, and that's what we're preparing ourselves with.
So for the process, it's kind of confusing, but for the process,
I'm showing the
city
process
damage,
now.
Yeah, so here's the long process. The other day I was on a webinar with MEMA, and they now want to teach people how to go through this process after we just went through it.
And they're all nice people.
Oh, they're great.
Listen, they have
wonderful.
a job to do.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, intentionally meant to be, not easy. For obvious reasons. Every time there was a storm somewhere, everybody would say, oh, FEMA should come in and take care of it. And we'd be $80 zillion in deficit. So I think, it's necessary. But I think what I would say to FEMA later on is, if I was in charge, and I'm not, and this is hypothetical, I would have assigned a person from MEMA and FEMA, and I would have sent them out and said, this is your job for the next 3 months. To help these people, to guide them through the process, to help them understand the process, to make it as easy as we try to make it easy for businesses in the city to reopen. It's like, you need somebody there at 3 in the afternoon on Sunday. We'll have somebody there at 3 in the afternoon on a Sunday. And I think that's where they could be most helpful in the future for any community around the country. Because if this is the process, it's a difficult one.
Well, the unknown is just, even for us.
Every day.
I get an email and I'm like, oh.
It's still unknowns.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at, there's a chronological look at some of the damage.
So really the homeowners and the business owners were one of the biggest team players in this thing.
Right.
They all, assessed their damage and they got on and they applied. Yep, they applied and that's what we needed them to do.
Just tell us what your damage is.
Gives us the best chance. So this is, 33 buildings just in downtown were flooded.
And we're talking 4 to 8 feet of water.
Yeah.
I know I had 2 pumps going, commercial pumps, like pretty quick. And it didn't do anything. It kept the water down to like 2 feet. And they just couldn't keep up.
Well, that picture of the fix, in that picture, it kind of looks like there's a border on that wall. It's not. That's the line where the water was.
It blew the doors open.
Yeah.
Just incredible. Very few were spared downtown, and and it was every part of the city. It wasn't just one part of the city. Remember, we are surrounded by 12 hills, 12 hills of Leominster. Remember, water goes downhill. And you add 11 inches of water in an hour and then send it downhill. And this is just some of the damage that, and even Barrett Pond there, that is the dam that you see on the top picture. The dam's still there. It's the
Right, it's the spillway.
It's the spillway, and the water went around. The water went over and around it. Is what happened. Go ahead.
So this is, you can see the timeline, but so several times now we've had to submit information with specifics, and I printed this out not so people could read it, but just so people could see the, I don't think I put the camera
There
on
it
it.
is.
Yeah,
You can't
you
see
can't
the
see
end,
it.
but it's pages of little writing.
It's like,
Small cap
if I can,
letters.
you can kind of see it, but it's just pages and pages and pages of sizes of culverts and pipe sizes, and we've submitted this 3 times now. So we're working every day to
And we've
try and
hired,
get this done.
we were a little concerned about what, once we started to hear some of the feedback from FEMA, we were a little bit concerned about what we were hearing. So we hired other engineers to really itemize every single part of the 7 largest projects in the city that we have to rebuild. And then we can hand that to them. And if they have a discrepancy and say, well, that's not a $3 million project, that's a $1 million project, we can say, okay, so where exactly? What page, what line, what dollar amount do you disagree with? Maybe we need to hire a third party to look at this,
Right.
but at some point, these are our documentations, and they're even cost estimated by professionals. Let me just say that the deadline, so just explain, right now, our information goes to the governor.
Our information goes to FEMA, who
FEMA.
packages it for FEMA, who reviews it. And so if we meet the declaration, it goes back to FEMA to package for the governor, who before December 11th has to send it to the president for a
And then the president
declaration.
decides. Then a whole nother system comes into place. They send people out. Then there are applications.
So if we get individual assistance, they actually come out and set up an office here.
Right.
For the city damage, each project, which we have an estimated 75 projects, becomes an individual grant application.
Right.
So
Every
you
single
can-
one of them.
Everyone has to meet a cost-benefit analysis.
And let's move on here with just about 10 minutes left, 9 minutes left to go here at Inside Leominster. We're on live every Thursday night, 4 to 5 o'clock, 978-534-1626. If you have any questions, that's why we do this as a live kind of talk-in show. And if anybody has any questions, please get them over to us. We'd be glad to answer them for you. So we did raise money privately through the United Way. And if you want to put that back up, this is what it looks like. This is private money. And let's look, because all in all, there were 520 different businesses and individuals and foundations that assisted. We raised $479,389. And here's where it went. So $20,000 went to Ginny's Helping Hands for food, clothing, household items, and shelter assistance. Another $20,000 went to Spanish American Center. One thing I didn't talk about the other night is the high-rise. And we had a lot of people, 200 people in that high-rise there on 100 Main Street. And that alone was an effort. But everybody there was patient and worked with the Housing Authority. And we were able to get them, they lost everything in their refrigerators. And, we provided everybody in that building with a $100 gift card so they could go and restock their refrigerators. But $20,000 to the Spanish Center, $10,000 to the Salvation Army. Again, this is all, all of this money was given to these agencies so they could help assist those that were victims of this flood. And then to the city of Leominster, $250,000 for critical infrastructure to get heat and hot water to homes. And we had to decide, and I specifically discussed this with the council at Monday night's meeting, and I said, some of the biggest donors were people or friends or, acquaintances of mine that called and had conversations with me or met with me and said, hey, listen, I'm going to give you $50,000. But I really want to make sure this goes to the people that really need it. Can you tell me what the big pressing needs are? And I said, well, it's September 11th. It's been a warm fall. It's been a warm summer. It's going to get cold. It's going to get cold quick. And we have a lot of people without heating systems or hot water. And so, and they were all like everybody was in agreement. Triage, the worst first. The people that financially had the biggest challenges would get the help first, and we go right down the line. And that's exactly how we've run the program, precisely like that. And we've been able to help a lot of people. Now, individually, we've sent contractors out to evaluate hot water tanks to make sure it wasn't just a pilot or a part that needed to be replaced. Same thing with a hot water tank. We went out and actually looked at the system to try to get it back up and running. And if it didn't get running, and then we knew it was more than just a part, it just that the system was no good. And we had electrical systems that were flooded out. And once it's your electrical system is submerged in water, it needs to be replaced. So that is what we've done with the money. And $250,000 from the United Way, $113,000 from other donations directly to the city, $50,000 from the Community Development Block Grant, and we've assisted about 45 families with furnaces, hot water heaters, electrical panels, so they could get back in for the winter.
It's expensive.
Yeah, heating systems are not inexpensive anymore. Anyway, you're watching Inside Leominster. Let me just, do we have regular slides in here today as well?
Let's skip to pictures of the week.
What?
We can skip to pictures of the week.
No, they're coming.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Fine. Okay. So we got 5 minutes left here. I love that picture. That's awesome, huh? We got some great aerial shots of the city. And you know what we're lucky about? There are a lot of cities that all the old, buildings built in the 1900s, late 1800s, a lot of them are gone. We lost some, but every building you see there is late 1800s, early 1900s. Every single building there. So, yeah, some had to go, I guess, but when you look at May Gallagher and Pilgrim Church, City Hall, UU Church, look at it. I mean, that is history, and we're fortunate to still have it. All right, right now, as of the 9th, 1,451 people tested for COVID and tested positive in the state, across the state, 21 deaths across the state. We're at 11 right now, not 11 deaths, but 11 testing positive. It's Great American Smokeout Day. It's International Day for Tolerance, National Button Day, National Fast Food Day, Use Less Stuff Day. I'm all for that. World Pancreatic Cancer Day, World Philosophy Day. And then Al Capone was released from Alcatraz in 1939. 1965, Walt Disney says, let's give it a shot and try out this thing called Epcot. 1973, Richard Nixon authorizes construction of the Alaska Pipeline. And oh, by the way, we have taken more oil out of the ground in the United States. I was shocked by this. We have taken more oil out of the ground in the United States than we did last year and the year before and the year before. I was under the impression that we're going to take less out of the ground. But anyway, just a statistical note there. 1979, Paul McCartney releases Wonderful Christmas. 1998, Monica Lewinsky signs a deal for a book that she talked about her affair with U.S. President Clinton. In 2000, Clinton becomes the first president to go to Vietnam since the end of Vietnam. And in 2018, if you remember this, I went to the 84th floor of the John Hancock building one time and looked out the window just to get an understanding. It dropped 84 floors in Chicago at the John Hancock Center. And basically, they were hurt, but not bad. All right, let me walk you into what's happening from here on in. There's a farmer's market tonight, right till 6 o'clock at City Hall. Want to remind you of that. Festival of the Trees starts on Monday, but before that is Breakfast of the Bands. And the Breakfast of the Bands is this Sunday, 8 to 11, 8 to 12 up there up at Fitchburg. It's in Fitchburg this year. And then we do the Festival of Trees, and that goes, we have things in. We don't keep all the trees because some people come and get them, but it gets close to Christmas and all the events in the City Hall. Small Business Saturday, not Small Business Sunday, Small Business Saturday is November 25th. Get out and support your local business. Leominster Lights is a big map of all the people in town that decide they're going to tell us where to come and look at lights, and then we put a map out and you can cruise around and check them out. And then comes the Winter Stroll. Don't forget the game next Wednesday night. Is it live here? The game live? All right, so the game is live here. Starts at 6:30 down at Fenway Park, where Carl Yastrzemski and Jim Longborough are some of my favorites of all favorites played. Imagine that. The best of the best of any baby boomer remembers the best of the best, and our kids are going to get a chance to play there against Fitchburg. And so that brings you up till then. And let me just push ahead now, because December 2nd, December 1st, we have a big surprise for everybody. Anybody that's lived here for any amount of time, there was a tradition in town that we used to have downtown, and then it was kind of gone for quite a few years. It's coming back, and all I could tell you, it's downtown. We'll let you know the exact location as it gets closer. It's downtown. It's December 1st. It's at 6 o'clock, and be there. It's going to be exciting. And then we get into the winter stroll, and that's 3 to 5 downtown. We close all the streets. The businesses come out. Then we have the parade and the tree lighting at 5 o'clock, and that's it. So we've got the Colonial Band concert. We've got the Montechusett Chorale coming up on the 3rd. Colonial Band concert is the what? 11th or the 10th? Whatever that Sunday is, that's close to the 10th and 11th. And most important is, if you're going to make apple pies, you need good apples. Where do you get those good apples? At Sholin Farms. They're open 10 to 5 this coming Saturday and Sunday. And then the following Sunday, they'll have Christmas trees, if you can believe it. Snuck up on us. And we'll have Santa here. And we're going to have the, who else are we having this year? We have the Grinch, Elf. We're going to have Elf here. We got a whole lot of things lined up here at Inside Leominster, and I guess we've done it. Did we do pictures of the week?
We can do them next week.
Let's see. Hang on, everybody. It says 15 seconds. I'll go through them quick. There we are at the North Central Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce. Veterans Day, Veteran of the Year, Charlie Millens. Veterans Day, we had a nice crowd. Doesn't look like there's a lot of people there now, but there was. In downtown, we were there at 10:30. Elliott Street water lines getting done. Kingman Drive repairs getting done. $2 million gallon concrete water tank up there at up at the Manusnock Hill. Reconnecting gas lines on Pleasant Street. Sidewalk work on Dudley Street. Snow. What? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Sally is back at it, and we are going to be ready. All right, we're out of time here at Inside Leominster. I want to thank the whole crew back there for making this thing. Hey, what happened to the...
We ran out of time.
I forgot we had it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. We can do it next week? Or the week after?
Week after.
Oh, all right. So next week, we won't be here. Apologize, but have a good Thanksgiving and be safe, and we'll see you at the game. We'll see you all over the place from here on in. All right, good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. I'm on my way to the Eagles because they're presenting us with a check for the flood relief. Thank you. Good night.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank, create success, enterprisebanking.com.
This is LTV.